Hey everybody, Greg Poole here with Bojunkie Media, bojunkie.com. It is time for another podcast. Vegas was this last weekend, pretty spectacular event. I'll be doing a standalone podcast kind of going over all the ins and outs of Vegas 2026, but obviously speaking to the winners is kind of important at this particular time. Obviously, it's only been a couple of days, but you know how it goes. Those that win that event are generally on a schedule, and so today's guest, as you can see, for those watching and for those listening, let's just get this started. It's Mikey, Mr. Perfect, Mikey Schlosser. How's it going, buddy?
Hey Greg, I'm doing good. I'm just here chilling a little bit, getting back into the groove after a hectic weekend and a lot of emotions, of course. And I'm just here chilling and getting ready for the outer season.
There you go. Now, this is normally a question like I talked to Ella the other day, and the whole has it hit you yet, but with you've already won this twice. Right?
Uh,
You've already won this twice. You haven't won it for 9 years, which for most people, winning it once makes a career. You obviously are one of the best indoor shooters to ever do it, but kind of talk about some of the after emotions. We're going to get into the actual shooting and the shoot off part, but talk about some of the processing that you've been doing emotionally since winning your third Vegas title.
I think it still hasn't completely hit me yet, just because I was so exhausted because yeah, Vegas is a hectic weekend. It's just felt like everything, all the mandatory things that you kind of need to do, like you need to be in the booths a certain time, you need to do the signing with the pros and stuff like that. It makes it a hectic weekend always because especially now for the first time as well, being a dad, so you're kind of like hustling, um, being there for Gabi and Luna, of course, being like a good father, and also living up to all the duties that it's kind of like that you're like wanna do as well. Like it's most of the things are not mandatory, but I put them on as mandatory because I feel like I have a certain obligation to some of my sponsors. And I just feel like that I need to like at least spend some time there and talk to some people and do some pictures and signing and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that generally happens is there's an emotional dump, and when you win, when you win the biggest event that there is, there's that after just but here you are preparing for for a World Cup already, and so
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how you are going to mentally and physically get over the emotional dump of winning Vegas and then ramp right back up for a World Cup.
So yesterday was really like I think that dump hit me yesterday. So yesterday I woke up pretty like exhausted, tired, and I told as well like, hey, you know what? Like I'm not feeling like it. It's just shot some short distance. That's it, just to keep the muscles like active a little bit. And I think I shot maybe like 50, 60 hours. That's it, and then just call it good for the day. And I even went back to bed around lunchtime like, just to recover a little bit. And that was it. Like just I think I'm in the right location. I'm here with some friends in Texas getting ready for the World Cup in Mexico next week, and it's very chill here. So like I can do whatever I want. There's like they say like it's my house is your house, so do whatever you want. So I've been just chilling here and enjoying being here with Gabi and Luna, of course. And they have like a small farm, so there's some animals walking around. So yesterday I was walking around with Luna on my shoulder. Um, in my arms and just like seeing all the animals and she got really emotional. So that's really cool to see as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, performing at your level, it's not like you just go from one event to the other, one event to another, and it's like, oh,
Hmm.
you're still Mike, and
Hmm.
you have been performing at such a high level for such a long time. Is there any, the fact that you were shooting arrows yesterday is impressive, but um, is there anything that you will focus on mentally to get yourself back into the mindset of winning and performing so quickly after winning Vegas?
I think I'm just gonna like kind of try to like ride the roller coaster and just go up and down with emotions and just follow. Like I think like my shooting was good, otherwise you don't win Vegas, of course. Um, so I'm just gonna ride that and just gonna like kind of ride the waves a little bit and just see how it goes. At this moment, I don't have a game plan yet. I still think I need to think about it because you always need a game plan if you go into the competition. And I think for me, just at the moment, is just enjoy archery. I think that's going to be my key to success in next week. And I think that's going to be also where I'm going to be focusing on, just enjoying archery, enjoying being outside 50 meters, being in the windy conditions, just in general, just enjoy the things that I've missed in their season. And I think that's going to be my game plan.
There you go.
And that's yeah, that's how we're going to see it. And I think that's going to be yeah my game plan, and hopefully it's going to work out good.
There you go. It kind of works out for you pretty good because you're a great shot. So let's back up pre-Vegas, whether
Hmm.
it's a couple days or a week before Vegas. Give us your mindset on how you were feeling. I mean, obviously you shoot amazing equipment, so your equipment's going to be flawless.
Hmm.
But give us your mindset coming into Vegas on how you felt, confidence wise, what you felt you needed to do, every day to put yourself in position to win, and just basically your overall, your personal feelings about coming into the event.
So I just like kind of like the last two events were the indoor nationals in Memphis. I shot really well there, walked off with a podium spot. Fell a bit short. I noticed that as well in my mental capacity. I was there at the end, like I was just like drained. So I noticed that there was like my technique was good, my equipment was flawless. Everything was on point except my mental resilience a little bit. So I noticed that at the end of the finals, I just ran out of gas mentally. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be working on that. So I did some more my mental training, a bit more visualization and stuff like that, just to make sure that that mental part was going to be a bit more like just not running out of gas as soon as I did. The weekend before, I shot the Utah Open as a kind of a preparation for Vegas, and I think that's an amazing event. If I'm hoping that they're hosting it again next year, just before Vegas, because I will do it again if that's going to be the case. It's a yeah, kind of like a Vegas style shoot. So we shot 60 hours qualification. Everybody shot a 600. It's going into the final. At the end, I walked there, wait with the podium as well. Same thing kind of happened as well. Run out of steam too early. Kind of like I was like, yeah, like it wasn't mental, was it physical? I didn't know. So at the end, I just told myself I'm going to be shooting some more arrows. I'm going to be scoring a bit more, put some pressure on do some mental games while I'm like kind of competing with myself. I did that the day after the Utah Open, so that's the Monday. Tuesday we drove from Salt Lake City to Vegas, so I didn't shoot that day. And Wednesday and Thursday I shot a bunch of hours as well, and also a lot of scoring, a lot of like kind of these mental games in there as well, just to make sure that I was gonna be on point, and that's was what it was. So Friday we started competing. Started off with the 29X 300. It was a super clean round. Then the next day we talked as well, like even before I think there was even a practice rounds, and it's like I'm feeling rough, like my body isn't in a good position. And at the end, I shot a 30X 300 that day, and I'm like, you know what? If my body is what it is, and I still be able to pull off a 30X, this is gonna be a good weekend. And I told my wife Gabby, I'm like, you know what? I feel good. Like I'm feeling really good. Like if I can do what I did today, I know my equipment is on point because I wasn't shooting 100% and I was still hitting middle. And as well, like my mental capacity, like fighting through my shot, fighting through like a lot of things, and still being able to hit the middle as well. It's like I'm good. Equipment is good. I'm ready for tomorrow. And at the end, like it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, for sure. No, well, and I mean, a lot of folks are probably not really going to be able to. I mean, I can barely comprehend it, but you and I
Mm.
talked on that day you shot the 30X, and
Saturday. Uh-huh.
you said, you were like, yes, I shot a 30X, but it wasn't my best 30X.
Hmm.
So for most people out there, and look, folks, I'm just going to say it. If you're Mike, Matthias, Bodie, if you're they shoot 30Xs all the time. That's how good they are. And so for them, they don't necessarily measure just the 30X. They measure how tight the 30X is.
Hmm.
That's just what it is, folks. And so explain to people a little bit about that, because they'll look at the scorecard on Saturday and be like, "Oh, Mike shot a 30X again," and not necessarily understand what you were processing because of that. So talk about that a little bit.
Just in general, like it was rough. Like I felt like my body wasn't 100%. I think I was a bit sore or whatever. I don't know what it was. Maybe bad night of sleep. Mentally I wasn't really in there. But like you said, like I think I have like still like my base level, even if I'm not 100%, is good enough. But I felt like that shooting a 30x like that, it's like I knew it was gonna be a good weekend. Um, because we measure more like, for example, like when we're on a roll, like it doesn't matter. Like equipment can be 80%, like say, but if we're on a roll, we still can shoot a 30x. But we're measuring like the days that we're feeling off, and we still can be able to pull off scores like that. Then we know our equipment is 100%. So we're kind of measure like we measure our equipment like when we're not shooting 100%, because now we know it's forgiving and we know it's hitting 100%. Um, and that was that day, that day was not 100%. I was not shooting good, but my bow was still doing good. My arrows were shooting 100. So I knew in a day, like you're in Vegas. So like anything can happen there. Like you had like a lot of emotional stress. You put stress on yourself because you don't want to miss, and you're not feeling 100%, and you're still able to do that. That was kind of like a key moment that opened my eyes, knowing that it was going to be a good weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you had, and that is a really good point. So on Saturday, even though you weren't necessarily, hitting on all cylinders with yourself,
Hmm.
still getting that 30x probably gave you a lot of confidence going into Sunday as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I found my groove again Sunday morning. I did some practice before the 30 hours that day. Um, Practice already felt smoother. My bow felt good. I was feeling better. So I was like, oh, you know what? This is gonna be good. And then we started scoring, of course. And I shot like one of the cleanest 30x rounds I ever done. I think I shot maybe half of the arrows were inside outs of 27s. And I knew like the moment that happened, I felt confident going into the finals because
Right. Yeah,
and
absolutely. So let's talk about, you have been in the shoot off many, many times.
mhm.
And oh, by the way, folks, Mike shot 89 X's in qualifications. He shot a 900 with 89 X's. That is redonkulous. So that level of shooting, that does not happen on accident. And so coming into the shoot off, obviously they changed up. You guys didn't bring the bus over, and I know last year I think you had an email issue or something. So last
Yeah.
year you were a little bit late for practice over at the PH Live or whatever. So this year the way that they changed it up, that they had you
Mhm.
guys upstairs and then they escorted you guys down and into the back there. So talk to us a little bit about kind of, and you're generally a pretty cool customer anyway.
Mhm.
So, you just talk to us about kind of getting into the PH Live. There was 33 of you guys, and just kind of talk about the first part of that shoot off and how things felt for you.
So this year was a lot of changes compared to last year. Last year, of course, yeah, the first time hosting it there. Um, we had indeed like we had a practice range, and then we got brought over with the bus, and then we were able to practice a bit in the beach live before the finals. But I decided not to go to that one because to me, 20 yards is 20 yards, and at the time, I just shot the World Cup final, the indoors from World Archery, and that one started at 7 a.m. in the morning. So I woke up 5:30, 5:45 to like get ready to shoot that World Cup final. And we were done about 9:30, 10-ish, I would say. And the practice started like at 11:30, something like that. And at the moment, like I felt like I was shooting good. To me, like I said, 20 yards is 20 yards. The same yellow was gonna be there. Like I decided not to skip the PH Live training session
Right.
because it was too much hassle. Like you were like we're gonna brought out in a bus, and then we got escorted from the bus to the beach live, and then we're gonna shoot some arrows, and it was just a lot of hassle to me. I'm like, you know what? I'll skip this. I took a little bit of rest, had some lunch. I think even went to bed a little bit, and then we started shooting at uh, I think 6:30 or something like the final started.
Yes.
By the time we were shooting was probably like around 8, so it was a long day. And what I really disliked about last year was there was no chance to practice at all. Like they had like a target set outside. It was cold at the time because it was beginning of February, I think.
Right.
Um, so it was like that was not even like a 20 yards, which is like just short distance blank bailing. I'm like, you know what, that doesn't make sense either. So last year a lot of people were there like kind of cold getting into the stage. So a lot of people were kind of not happy, like we're the biggest shoot there is, and there's no practice. Like they're like we literally weren't able to shoot our bows for like an hour and a half before we walked up to the stage. So a lot of people are kind of like not satisfied, and they listened. So this year we had a practice range just above the PH Live, and we were able to practice there from 2 until like we started shooting. So that was close to 8. We got picked up like 50 minutes before, and you could shoot as much as you wanted. So that was really nice. They listened to us, and they within their capacity, they made sure that we could practice as well this year.
Nice.
Um, so that was nice. So this year, like I came up, like we're done shooting at around noon. So I had like a little bit of lunch and chill a bit as well. And then I think around 5:36, I walked over there and started shooting. And then we got picked up at like a 7:45 to shoot our finals. They of course told us as well because there were a lot of finals before us. I think there are like 5 or 6 disciplines that were shooting finals there. So they knew, like they told us, like it's gonna be a late one. So make sure you're ready,
Right.
um, and stuff like that. So I had like a heavy lunch, making sure that I could pass off like dinner time kind of. So I had like a late lunch, a heavy lunch, making sure that I wouldn't get hungry during the shoot. I brought some protein bars as well, just to survive there. And at the end, yeah, we started shooting. Um, yeah, from there on, it went all in my mind, all very quick. But at the end, it should have took like an hour. But in my mind, it was like 5 minutes. We're done.
All right. Well, I mean, when you're actually in that moment, time does seem to move pretty quickly. So
Hmm.
so what power lens do you shoot indoors?
I use a 6 power lens, kind of mainly almost for everything. I use a big fiber, a 39,000 fiber. For indoors, I like to use the red. For outdoors, it depends a bit. I normally bring one red scope, one green scope, like with a green fiber, just to be able to swap out. If it's super sunny, I would swap to a green one. If it's not that sunny, I will stick with the red one.
Okay. And so the reason I ask that is obviously the new target, and we're gonna get to
Hmm.
that in a minute. And so as the shoot off was progressing, we had kind of some big drops, like as far as the numbers, like, and then
Hmm.
it would kind of be a smaller one and then a bigger one. So when it got, you know, and this is something that not a lot of people really ever get insight on, and that is once the shoot off got down to the three of you,
Hmm.
does and once you've made the podium, does does that change anything for you in your head?
Um, yeah, I think like once you're on the podium, you kind of like you're like okay, kind of like at least that's what I tell myself. Like okay, I made the podium. Um, the hard work is done. Now just enjoy and keep on shooting middle. Like kind of like it doesn't mean that I'm gonna be satisfied with second or third,
Sure.
but it means like you kind of made it, and then you're telling yourself just like now it's time to enjoy and shoot middle kind of. So that's kind of how I tell myself as well. Always like when I'm in those kind of situations, like. Okay, the hard work is done. Now it's time to enjoy. And from that moment on, I felt also that my shots started to become a bit easier. And yeah, that's kind of how my mindset was.
Okay. Now, so when you, I mean, that's very, very insightful. So thank you for sharing that, by the way. But when you say your shots got easier, generally speaking, the longer the shoot off goes and the higher the tension, what exactly? can you explain to us felt easier about the shot? Was it your shot timing? Were you holding better? Just what was it exactly?
Little bit of combination of everything. I felt like my aiming slowed down a bit, so it was easier to aim in the middle, and I wasn't fighting my release as much to go fire, kind of, like you're like working on your shot, and sometimes when you get nervous, you tense up a little bit, your body tenses up, and then your shot slows down significantly. So you're kind of like fighting your, I don't want to say fighting, but like you're working harder to make your fire release the fire, kind of. That's kind of how I would say it. And from the moment that I kind of like saw like, okay, we're top three, like the moment Kyle kind of um missed one and got out, I was like, okay, now it's time to enjoy. And that moment on, I felt like my aiming went better, my shot routine was smoother, my release was firing easier as well, just because I didn't tense up as much, and I felt like I think even like in that first end after like when the top three was settled, kind of. I think in that end I had like an arrow that fired like way too quick, and I'm like, ooh, that one scared a little bit, me a little bit. So I was like, ooh, that's not what I want to be at. So I kind of like needed to adjust myself again to yeah, not work as hard on my release as I did beforehand, and just be patient, like just aim in the middle, be patient, and wait for it to fire.
Absolutely. Now once it goes to arrow for arrow, and this is something, let me back up. How much of an advantage do you think it has played in your career having shot so many world archery indoor events where,
Mm,
number one, it's just a big blob of yellow down there? Yes, there's a ring in the middle, but I'm not sure you see it. So,
no.
yeah, you're just aiming in the middle of the yellow.
Mm,
Also, the arrow for arrow thing is common.
hmm
Not that it's match play, but you've shot a lot of match play events. So when it goes to arrow, that's like super familiar for you.
Yeah, like the moment that we went arrow to arrow, it indeed kind of pulled in my favor because indeed, like you said, we like World Archery finals are all like that. It's even World Archery is normally 20 seconds. I think this time we got 40 or 60, like a bunch of timer. Like I saw the timer once hit, and I was like, you know what? I don't need to worry about time at all. I can even let down and make sure that I make another good shot. Um, so just I think the arrow to arrow is definitely was an advantage for me because I have so much experience in the World Archery scene. Because that's really normal there as well. Like all the finals are like alternative shooting, so we normally have 20 seconds for your opponent and 20 seconds for you, and then go back to the opponent. So that's very common for us to do, and I think that really, yeah, it was really a big advantage for me.
Yeah. Now, so let's talk about obviously the new targets. So
Mhm.
you guys made it, obviously. You guys made it to the smaller X, but with the 6 power lens and the 39 thousandths fiber, did going to the smaller X really even enter your mind as an issue at all?
No, no, not at all. Like I felt like I was hitting pretty middle, pretty good. Shots felt good. So once we went down to the smaller target face, so it's just like just keep on making good shots, and like I told myself already beforehand, like don't start over aiming because then mistakes are gonna happen. So I just told myself like as well, like if we're hitting that smaller target face, I just don't want to change anything in my routine. Just want to make sure that my aiming stays the same, my execution stays the same, and just make sure that everything stays the same because I was hitting good, so I didn't need to worry about missing the smaller target. So I didn't want to over aim. And that's what I kind of like was my game plan. Just make sure you keep on doing the same thing.
That is, folks, rewind this podcast 20 seconds and listen to what Mike just said again. The fact that one of the greatest to ever do it is sitting there saying, telling himself, don't start over aiming because the X got smaller. That is pure gold right there. And I mean, he's right. Look, the middle is still the middle, no matter how big or small the X is. And
Mhm.
they can't see it anyway. And so for Mike to literally throw out that jewel of just because the X gets smaller, don't over aim. The middle's the middle. That is absolutely fantastic. So thank you for that. Now let's talk about when the runner up missed his point there towards the end. Uh, Obviously you knew it.
Uh-huh.
It was called out. You heard the crowd. Ooh,
Yeah, exactly. You can feel it. Like even like it's really funny. Like you try to like they always tell you like block out everything and focus only on your shooting and like and that those kind of environments, those kind of stages, it's impossible. Like the crowd with like 4,000 people or 3,000 people, I don't know how many people there were in. When somebody misses, you feel it, you know it, you hear the big speaker, and the only thing is what I always tell myself, like, and I also tell people like sometimes they come to me like, are you focusing what other people are doing, like head-to-head matches, for example? And I'm like, yeah, I see what they're doing, and it's just like you need to like the only thing you can control is your own shooting, you know, your own mental state, your own shooting. Like I cannot control what the other one does. And it doesn't matter if he shoots a 9 or 10 or whatever. The only thing I need to focus on is make the best shot possible. So of course I hearing the guy that Matthew Burns shot a 9, you hear the crowd go like, ooh. And I knew that moment that if I make a good shot, it's gonna be mine. So I took like a little bit of extra breathing, you know, like okay, he misses. I'm like I felt my emotions come up. I felt my just my heart pumping stronger. You know, like you feel all those emotions and you're like, you know what? Take a couple breathers. So like I stood there, like breathed like 2, 3 times, calm myself. You know what? Like one good arrow, all it needs, all it takes. And like I drew back. My bow was aiming the best that I've done all evening there. So I was just aiming in the middle, and it's just like, you know what? Be patient. Be patient. Don't start pulling harder. Don't start pushing harder. Just be patient and aim in the middle. So my bow was sitting in the middle, and I was just patient. It took forever in my mind to to fire. And I'm like just the only thing I was telling myself, be patient, be patient. And at the moment it fired, before it even hit the target, I knew it was in there. Like it fired. It was good, and yeah, I just knew. Like like we shoot so many arrows, we know when something is gonna hit the middle. And it hit the middle, and then it's like all the emotions come out. Like, yes, I won Vegas again. It took me 9 years to finally win it again. Um, while I had some finals that I shot really well, but I just like it's Vegas, you know, like everything can happen. It's the best archers in the world competing for that one spot, and like all those emotions come up. Like I finally did it. I finally did it,
Well,
and especially because this season was really tough for me, and like I felt like. I was shooting good. I had some really good competitions. For example, like Nîmes, I came off second. International came off third. I had another World Series, I got third. A lot of things happened, but I always was shooting really high quality. But always something happened that I've always felt a little bit short. So this relief of finally event that kind of karma came my way, kind of like I
right.
was like that's how I saw it. You know, like this
Right.
relief of like, oh, finally the first competition this season I could finish, you know, and I was super, super, yeah, proud of that and happy and emotional and still am. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things that I thought was cool, I haven't went back and put it in slow motion. Your right arm may have been in the air before the arrow even hit. That
I knew,
that
like I just said, like I knew the moment the fire there was in a hit.
Yeah, that reaction time was pretty impressive, Mikey. I mean, that shot broke. Your shot broke, and that right arm went up in the air virtually before the arrow hit. So that was, I love to see that. That was, that level of emotion is absolutely awesome. Now, being that you've won, and you've won a bunch of stuff, like
Mhm.
28 or 30 something medals in world archery, like you've won a bunch. But
Mhm.
specifically to your two Vegas victories, talk to us about what was going through your mind and the emotions of the final arrow to win in 2026 versus 2017 or 2014.
Um, like in 2014, this is gonna sound maybe really stupid, but at the time I was really young. I felt like I could conquer the world and everything, and nothing really like I. It's gonna sound really stupid, but I felt like at the time I didn't know what to expect. You know, like you're young, you're kind of stupid. And you win Vegas and you don't know really how to react. I was, I think, 19 or 20 at the time. Um, at that moment, I didn't realize at all that that was career-defining win because I was world champion before that. Like I was world champion like a couple months before that. But winning Vegas is 10 times more life-changing than becoming a world champion. I can tell you that.
Right.
So at the time, I didn't know this. Like I just like any normal win. If I would like, I felt like if I w just won a World Cup, I didn't know what was gonna happen afterwards. I didn't know anything about it. But the 2017 win was definitely an emotional roller coaster as well because at the time I had food poisoning. For the whole week I didn't eat anything. I was like, I think I was surviving on some coffee and cinnamon rolls. That was the only thing I was able to handle, literally. I was shooting the qualification days like 90 hours, and like the only thing I was thinking about, okay, nine more ends, I can go to bed, and like 8 more ends, I can go to bed, and like 3 more ends to go to bed. So that was literally the only thing I could think of. And in the finals as well, like I was there just mainly focusing on just not pooping my pants kind of thing. Literally, like I was feeling so bad for my stomach. I was feeling so bad physically that I like the only thing was like I need to keep shooting, and I was not busy at all um with the final itself. And then you win, and then you're like it hits you like, oh shit, I just won Vegas again. And that was a really big emotional roller coaster as well because it went from like uh feeling so bad you kind of don't want to be there, but like you're not gonna skip Vegas finals or Vegas in general, like it doesn't
Right.
matter how bad you feel, like you will still competing there. And kind of like to like, oh shit, I just won, like emotional roller coaster. And it was a big emotional roller coaster because um at the time Gabi just moved to the Netherlands and we were looking into houses, and we found this house with a property like we could shoot outside. Beautiful house, just out of price range. Like we couldn't afford it, and we were really bummed out about that because yeah, that was a beautiful location.
Right.
And then you in Vegas, and then you go like, oh shit, now I can afford a house. And I literally like the first thing I do, like I didn't even get the arrows yet. I hugged Gabi, my wife, and I'm like, we can buy the house, and we started both like bawling and bawling because
That's awesome.
yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster, like so that was like super emotional as well. And this year, like I felt like you said, like this indoor season wasn't my best. Like I felt like shooting wise, I was one of the strongest years I've ever had. It just I couldn't finish it, Like I went to competition shooting amazingly, and then always falling a bit short. And then to finally pull it off and keep it together and stuff like that. And yeah, just the first really big win as a dad. Um, yeah, that was just I was like everything came to my mind. Like this is yeah, like I couldn't hold it together. Like I went on my knees to hug Gabi and Luna, of course, when I was still on the stage, just to like yeah, be there together and celebrate as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that part was awesome. So let's talk about that a little bit. You have been, I mean, you've won so much, it's kind of like a normal thing and you're used to it. But
Hmm.
this caliber of win, it not only being career defining, I think at this point it's more legacy defining for you.
Hmm.
So to get this win, and I do want to get into the talent pool and the difference between winning 12, 15 years ago and now, but I mean, because you started winning as a youth in 2011, so you've been doing this for a hot minute, but it it can't go unnoticed that when you won this title, the reaction and the emotions coming out of you was not like anything that we've really seen from you in the past.
Yeah, that's true. I think like it's something I don't know, like if you become like I don't know, I think it maybe it's becoming mild as a dad a little bit, as a girl dad. But this one it's just like everything becomes more important in life, kind of somehow, and I start to appreciate a lot of things more as well. Like beforehand, the only thing I cared about was shooting my bow, um, and now. I appreciate having friends and family. I'm starting to appreciate my relationship with Gabi, for example, and then I appreciate being a dad. And It's not easy, that's for sure. Like, and that's kind of also I think why the emotions came out that much because I was struggling like trying to keep the balls up from like being a dad, being a husband, being a top athlete, and they all kind of were always falling. Like no matter how hard I tried, it was really hard struggling to keep all three up. So that yeah, it is like how it is, and I felt like that finally like that moment that everything worked out very well. And like, yeah, that just was super emotional for me, and it still is actually.
Well, and that's a good thing. That emotion is gonna keep pushing you as a father of four. Uh, I love to see it. Just the fact that you have a level of appreciation and passion for being a father that is that those who aren't a father can understand. So for that part, I really commend you on your growth as a, not, a husband and a father, but I
Mhm.
think it's going to serve you well moving forward. So uh let's talk about kind of moving forward from this point,
Mhm.
meaning that you, like I just referenced, you started winning youth championships in 2011. uh
Uh-huh.
that's 15 years ago for those of you counting, and he's 32. So
Yeah.
Mike is by no means an old man, but
I got
right.
called old in the finals though.
Oh, right. And that's exactly where I'm going with this. Is I mentioned it in our after victory interview. And so when you came in and won it at 19 or 20 in
Mhm.
2014, you, and I'm going to make this analogy because it's true, then 11, 12 years ago, you were the Bodie, you were the Matthias,
Mhm.
you were the young kid that everyone was like, holy crap. And
Mhm.
back then, your Jesse Broadwaters and your Rio Wilds and your Dave Cousins, those guys were in the position you're in now. So for me, I think it's a great story because you have, with this win, you have crossed over generationally, meaning
Mhm.
you won when you were 19, 20, 12 plus years ago, 10 years ago. And now with this next generation, the what we could consider the 2026 Mikeys, here you are winning again. And
Mhm.
like I said in the interview, that is a testament to not only your skill but your consistency. So talk a little bit about what it means to you to, still be able to, get things done at the highest level, having done it as long as you have.
So I think my career kind of started in 2010. At the time it was the face-to-face in Amsterdam. Was kind of my first real test kind of. And at the time I was say 15, I think, 16 maybe. And my dad uh drove me up there. He's like, let's go shoot there. Like I feel like you're this is supposed to be there. And the coach of the national team at the time was also like, he should be there. Like, let's go shoot there. And my dad brought me there. It's 2.5 hours driving. He got a hotel there, and we started shooting. And at the time, I didn't know anything about archery. I liked it. I loved archery. Did it every single day. Didn't really care about everything around it. Like I was just the only thing what I cared about was me shooting my bow, getting better every day, enjoying it. And fairly early on, I met Rio Wild at the time, and Rio Wild at the time was
The
the
man.
archer.
He was the man.
He was the man. And I think I shot a 119, 120. It's like 12-hour matches, and I won against him. And out of like nowhere, my dad comes up from the stands. He's like, "Do you know who you shot?" I'm like, "Yeah, his name is Rio. He's a nice American. Like I had a good talk with him." And he's like, "He is the Rio Wild. Like he is the man to beat." And I'm like, "Oh." Cool. I like him. He's a nice guy. And then we started like competing and competing and like later on it's kind of like this pool system, so you're shooting 5 matches of 12 arrows and later on um I met Martin Damsbo at the time as well in his legacy, like in his highs. Same thing happened. I think I shot 120, 120 against him. A little bit later on, I met Braden Galantine, and I whipped out a 120 against him. And it was I needed to tie against him, win against him. I would pass. If Braden would win against me, he would pass. Um, and I shot a 120, 120, so we tied, uh, and I passed through the semifinals, and I still know it. I still like visually see it, and he's like, "Who the fuck is that little kid?" And I'm like, "I'm Mike. Nice to meet you." You know, like all kind of clumsy. And so yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
that was in
great.
2010, and like semifinals, me shooting against let me think. Oh, Dave Cousins. My semifinals were against Dave Cousins. Won that one, and then I shot the final against Peter Elzinga. And at the time, the only one I knew was Peter Elzinga because, of course, countryman, somebody I looked up to. Um, so shooting against the final was kind of the only one that I felt like I really wanted to win because that was my idol, like growing up, knowing Peter, like being also like Rio at the time and Braden and Martin, being on the top of his game, being the people to beat.
Right.
I wanted to beat him, and at the end it worked out well. I shot really good, and I won against Peter, and I eventually won the face to face, and yeah, that was the start of my career. Like at the time, I think I won some contingency, and I won some money um from the event itself, and I had a check of I think it was $4,000 from Hoyt in my hands, and I'm like looking at it, singing in the back of the car. My dad was driving home, like 2.5 hours driving, and I'm looking at it and looking at it, and like 30, 40 minutes later on. I'm like, I asked my dad, like, what am I supposed to do with this check? Because at the time, I was like 15, 16. My parents were paying everything, like everything. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, here, you have it. I gave the check to my dad. Like, I didn't know what to do with it. And he's like, no, you deserve this one. Do invest it wisely and just enjoy it. Like, you deserve it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And at the time of those $4,000, I think I bought a phone. And after that, I just started investing in going to competitions. So I started investing going to like the Berlin Open at the time and Nîmes, stuff like that, like just to expand my career a little bit. And yeah, before I knew it, like years later, I yeah became what I became. And then kind of like in 2013, my career really started to take off. And yeah, 2013, I think I became full professional because at the time I was still studying. I finished my degree, wanted to go for like a master degree in accounting, and the school was like, "This is not working out. You're too much gone." Like at the time, I was shooting youth cups and senior competitions, and I was way too much gone for them. And they were like, "You need to make a decision." And I'm like, "Huh." Going into Christmas break, like this 2 weeks break in the Netherlands. I went at the time I was living in a training center, so I was studying there as well. Went back home. 2 weeks I didn't dare to tell my parents that I needed to make a decision. So literally like 2 weeks I was just quiet, even more quiet than I normally am. And my parents were like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Nothing. Like just school, busy, you know." And 2 weeks, and I didn't dare to ask him because for my mom, school is very important. She always told me like you're allowed to do whatever with Archie what you want as long as you get good grades. So she like I will allow you to go compete all over the world as long as your grades are good, you're free to go. So I knew for my mom it was going to be very very important decision. So I was like I just knew like for me I wanted to keep archery of course like archery was my passion
Right.
and I knew I expected her to say like I needed to choose for school like. And 2 weeks passed by. Sunday evening, I'm driving back to the training center, and I still like shit. I didn't tell my parents I need to make a decision because Monday I need to make that decision. So the day after that. So in the car, I call my parents and I'm like, listen up. I have this decision to make. School is kind of rough. Um, they want me to choose between school or archery. My mom was like, "Oh yeah, whatever, degree. Like, choose your archery, and then you can always go back to school." I'm like, "What?" Did not expect it at all, like. And from that moment on, I became fully professional. Went to competitions, and then yeah, a couple months later, I won Vegas for the first time. So.
You're literally over there like, where's my mother? What happened to
Yeah,
my
like
mother?
what happened to her? Like, am I calling somebody else? No, but I didn't expect it at all. But she was like, "Oh, you already have a degree. So if archery doesn't work out, you can always either go back studying or you have already like jobs lined up. So for me, like, you should choose your archery." And I'm like, "What?" And yeah, that's it. That's kind of how it started. And from that moment on, I started to travel some by myself, some with some teammates like Peter Elzinga and stuff like that. And yeah, at the time also became very familiar with Rio Wild. So at the time I started to travel a bit with Rio Wild and Chris Schaaf as well.
Hmm,
So I had like made some friends and connections as well. So
very
that was
cool.
really nice.
Yeah, for sure. So when you think about how your career started, the success you had in 14, 17, and then you basically fast forward a decade, and you folks, Mike's won plenty in that decade. Don't get it twisted. Mike won you won indoor nationals over here in like 22, something like that.
And good question. Something like that. I
Yeah.
think just before COVID, so 2019, I think.
Yeah, so he's won indoor so when I say this decade, it doesn't mean that he sucked for a decade. He was still
Mm.
winning bunches of stuff. So we're just kind of talking about Vegas in particular. And so when you think about how your career started, that was a great story about your mom, by the way.
Mm.
That's freaking awesome. So when you think about how your career started, the I absolutely, because you blew up from like 2013 14 to like
hmm
2017 18, you were crushing. And then you think about fast forwarding to 2026, it's got to feel good to know that not only did you did it when you were 19, not only did you did it do it, not only did you do it when you were 18, 19, 20, but now at 32 you are still performing and still winning on the biggest stage. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, that of course feels good because yeah, um, you see people that you grew up to, looked up to. You see them, like for example, Rio is coming back, of course, in the senior class, but you saw the people that you looked up to in the beginning of your career, kind of like slowing down, and then you're like, when is that gonna happen to me? Like am I gonna be over my top? And I feel like this win really means a lot to me as well because it proves to myself that I'm still capable of doing what I can, Like I feel like the level is there and I'm still being able to keep up with indeed like the Matthias and the Bodies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, look, let's be honest here. It's not like your scores have fallen off. I mean,
No.
you shot 89 damn X's and were the second qualifier for crying out loud.
Mm.
So it's not like your scores are getting your scores are not going down. Like
Mm.
your scores have remained absolutely unbelievably high. So t- what is it you think that has, I mean, and obviously the scores and the quality of shooters, but at your level, like you've described, there's a lot of mental things that happen to win at your level. Talk to us about your perception of the difference between winning at the Vegas level from 10 years ago versus winning at the Vegas level now.
It's just like mental resilience because like we said, like there are now 32 people I think this year. I think the first year I won it we were like 10 maybe 9, 10 I think. This 2017 was one of the biggest. It was 18 or 19. It was huge at the time because we went up like double compared to the years before that. Um, but now we are like 32. If we wouldn't have went for the smaller acts, it probably would have been taking like 15, 16 ends like 2 years ago. When Matthias against Jacob Marlowe, that took forever. And I think just the mental resilience now that is necessary to not miss for like X amount of rounds. It's just it's a lot harder than it used to be, and I think that's kind of like when I think that my expertise comes out as well because I know like I can keep it together a little bit better than I used to do. So I think if I would have been in the same situation when I was 18 or 19, I probably wouldn't have had the same success I would have now just because yeah, you've been there a couple times in a situation, you know how to handle it and you learn and you live, like the older you get, the more wiser you get sometimes, and I feel like that's helps you sometimes in archery career as well.
Absolutely. Now you're only 32. You have a long way to go. Let me ask you this: you mentioned a couple minutes ago how long you asked yourself how long will I be able to do
Mhm.
this? How long will you be able to do this, and what will be the indicators for you that will either tell you you need to change something, you need to practice different,
Mhm.
what sort of indicators will you be looking for in your own career to give you those clues it's time to adjust, it's time to do something that will allow you to continue?
I think for me, like the most important thing is enjoying an archery. Like let's say 250 days a year on the road, competing all over the world. If you're not enjoying it anymore, it's becoming a drag, and then it's going to be the time for me to say either I'm stepping down or I'm slowing down. At this moment, I'm still enjoying archery a lot. Traveling the world with my wife and babies, and it's working out. It's heavy, but it's working out. Um, so for the moment, I don't see any reason to slow down or stop. But I think that the factor of enjoying it, enjoying competing, is going to be a big factor for me um to say like, okay, now it's time. I think as well, like eventually, like if you're not going to be as competitive as I'm used to being, I think that's going to be also the side, of course, because if you're not going to be competitive anymore or as competitive as you want to be, then the joy is going to fall down as well, of course. So that's kind of like goes hand in hand, I think.
That's an awesome answer, by the way. That wasn't really the direction I thought you were going to go with it, but that's a very mature. Well, I mean, dude, honestly, that's a most people would say when my scores are this or when I can't this or I can't that, but you talking about the joy of it is gives us, gives everyone a real glimpse into your true love of the game. So definitely appreciate that.
Mm,
I'd like to get your opinion on the depth of the talent pool, not just in your class, but in the
hmm
women's class as well. This year we saw 5 women shoot. There was 11 women clean with 600s coming into day 3. 5 women ended up shooting 900s. As you mentioned, we're getting over 30 men shooting 900s now. So kind of give me your opinion because, you've been around for a
hmm
minute, but kind of give me your opinion on what you see as far as the talent pool of archery in general.
I think the fact that us becoming now Olympic, there's going to be some funding from some governments going into archery teams, countries. And what you also see, for example, like the compound that's added to the Asian Games a couple of years ago, I think about 6 years ago now. And the Asian Games is for the Asian countries are yeah, one of the most important things. You have like Olympic Games, Asian Games, the rest. Like the rest, they don't really care about. So they want to really compete good at the Asian Games, and now compound adding to the Asian Games was a very important step for some Asian countries to put a lot of funding in it. Like see India, see Korea, um, China is putting some stuff together as well. Like a lot of Asianic countries are like taking more serious. So there you could see the growth in, let's say, India. Like they had a national competition trials for the first two World Cups, and the number 16 shot a 709. Number 16.
That's pretty stout.
That's amazing. So you see, like in general, just the depth of countries that are producing talent. It's just growing and growing, and you can see it now as well in the stuff like the Vegas shoot. Like it's got to start somewhere, and it starts normally like locally. So if local, you get more help, more people that's competitive, you're gonna grow the level by itself. Um, and that's what you're gonna see like nationwide or worldwide. You see that people are just growing and growing. And I'm not surprised that the women were five people in the shoot-off. Like I feel like the top level women can compete with the guys.
Right.
I really genuinely believe that. Like if you see like some of the higher scores at the time, Sarah Lopez, she outshot some men. Like mostly like if we were shooting a World Cup, Sarah Lopez when she was hot, she shot higher scores than the men did.
Right. Yeah.
And so like I think like archery is kind of a unique sport that the difference between the high level men and the high level women is very limited.
Right.
So just the only thing is with I think as a women sport of like women in archery, the depth is not as great as with the men, for example, because I think like at least that's what I see at home as well. Like a lot of times they choose a career over an archery career, you know, like they find studying more important than becoming a high level archer. So you see often that they drop out when that decision that I made, like, should I study? Should I go to archery? I think the guys are a bit more stupid and should like, ah, school can always happen, and let's do archery. While for the women, they often choose the smart way, the more sensible thing to do, and that's the school. And then you see how that sometimes the depth in archery and in the women's side, especially, I think that's kind of like the reason why it's not as in depth as with the guys. Because I believe that like you saw it as well now. Like there was a 30x shot as well by the women's.
Yep.
Um,
Leanne. Yep.
people can shoot 900. Like it is not like uncommon that women shoot the same scores as the guys do, and that doesn't matter if it's recurve or compound.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I mean, as far as the participation goes, that's just a numbers game.
Hmm.
At this moment globally, way more men shoot archery than women from top to
Yeah.
bottom. It doesn't matter whether it's Vegas, World Cups, local events. That's just the current demographic. But that doesn't mean that like Mike said, at the very top, these women are throwing it down. And so it won't surprise me, Mike, to see um, a woman or two appear in the championship open and again in the next couple
Hmm.
years here in Vegas. Um,
Yeah, like I'm surprised about it as well because the women can compete with us. Like that's I generally believe that, and we're in the open class, of course, so it's possible.
yep.
Um, but I think like they do the sensible way, kind of, and just say like, oh, like if I shoot the way I do, I might gonna be podium on the women's side. I might not even make the podium at the men, you know. So I'm gonna go for the guaranteed paycheck compared to what if.
Yeah. Well, number one, if you shoot a 900 in the championship open class, you're guaranteed what, 2,500 bucks.
Hmm.
So it's not like there's no payday there, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's definitely harder to win in the championship open. There's no doubt about it. But
Just numbers game as well. Like
that's
yeah.
it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Look at Matthew Burns. Who expected him to do that? Well, uh, he did,
Yeah, of course.
but we were all like, damn,
Yeah.
look at
Uh-huh.
him go.
Yeah.
Hanging up there with Mikey for a while and Bodie for a while. Like
Hmm.
that was super impressive. So
That's really cool to see indeed.
yeah, for sure. And he's a super nice kid. So let's talk. You mentioned the LA 2028 there briefly. Let's talk about that for a second. Um,
Mm.
in in a normal field of compound archers in the Olympics. So folks for that might not know, mixed team compound will be in the LA 2028 games. Mixed team being one man, one woman. In the event it was a normal field of archers for compound, there is no doubt in anyone's mind that you, Mike, would be in the games. You're
Hmm.
one of the goats of FIDA. You're one of the goats, period. So talk a little bit about, you know, the issue is you can't make them by yourself and you can't shoot for yourself and your partner. And
Yeah.
so give us kind of some information on how things are going in the Netherlands for you. What female do you think is might be able to make a run with you, and so that we can see Mike and in the mixed teams in LA
Hmm.
2028.
So at the time we have kind of two options, I think. We have a younger girl that's a bit more inexperienced, as I would say really high ceiling, like a skill ceiling. Like she can shoot really good. The moment the pressure is on, I sometimes see that she drops that level a little bit, and that's just inexperience. That's just I think she's 16, 17 now. Just needs to compete more, and then she's gonna be eventually knowing what to do when the pressure hits her, and to keep that same level. We have a bit more of experience in Sanne. She's my mixed team partner for the last year and a half now. Um, and we took kind of like very serious. Like we had some serious conversations, like when mixed team was announced. Like, what are we gonna do? Uh, at the time, we were uncertain if we are gonna get funding from the government, or if we were gonna get funding from our federation. Um, So we were like very uncertain what our moves was, and I'm like, we had some serious conversation, like what we're gonna do, and then we decided to train together a bit more and try to help each other out. Like, of course, I have a lot of knowledge of setting up bows and in general a little bit of everything, and we also decided that she would come over a couple times to shoot together and how I help her with her bow and teach her a little bit about setting up bows and deciding like what to do, what not to do, and that's been working out very well for us. I think she's growing in her capacity as well. She's willing to do it as well, and I think that's very important as well because yeah, you need to have a certain commitment if you want to reach the top, and if you don't have that commitment, you're never going to make it. And so she decided to go for it. She went from a full-time job to a part-time job so she could have more practice hours in there and having more chances to go compete. And we've been very successful as of lately. So we were reigning world champion mixed team together, and I see a really strong future for us towards LA. And I think that's very important. And I just hope that the we're gonna keep the same freedom that we are having now because we help each other a lot. Um, and that the federation is not going to demand that we're going to be doing certain things and certain ways.
Right.
And just like I think like for us now, LA 28 is very important that we keep on doing it the same as we have been doing it.
Absolutely. Now, will she be down there in Mexico for this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, yeah. She decided to skip on Vegas just to prepare for Mexico. She has a little bit more issues going from indoors to outdoors, so she decided like, hey, I want to really focus on LA. I'll skip Vegas this year just to make sure that I'm going to be 100% for Mexico for the first World Cup, and I respected that. I think that she would be very competitive here as well in Vegas. And I think that would also learn her a lot of stress management, especially on the big stages as well. But I respected her decision. I think like that she really wants to be good there and really wants to set a good step forward to LA, and that's the only thing I can respect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, having you as a mentor and a friend and someone to help with tuning, and you're gonna make a you're going to lead by example. And so, I mean, you're going to go out there and do what you do. So she's going to have someone great to learn from. So
Mm,
let's run down your equipment for your Vegas win this last weekend. You and I had briefly talked when we did that first interview that they're using, but just about the arrow side. But let's do a quick rundown of your equipment.
So I'm shooting the Hoyt Concept X 37. Um, I'm shooting, let me see, the 2712's got the 28 inches. Use a 200 grain point, 4-inch range, three fletch. What else? I use gas strings, the Axela claim bars. I run the 32 ounces up front and 24 in back. I use a 30-inch front bar, 12-inch back bar. What else? Like Knox.
What sight
Uh,
you running?
oh, the Axela Chief XP Pro
Okay.
with a Shrewd Optum 29 6 power lens, the 365 power lens. The doublet it's called, I think. Yeah, the
Okay.
doublet.
What
And yeah,
what
the 39,000 fiber.
what release you running?
I use the Abyss Flex.
Nice. And arrow rest?
I whatever I have on it. I think at the moment I'm shooting a Spot Hawk. I have an AE as well. I think that's what I'm running on my outer bow now.
Okay.
I yeah, I'm still testing a lot. I just got the new AE drop away rest, the Pro X.
Right.
and I'm gonna be very excited because I never shot a fall away rest yet. So I'm gonna. They were like, I was talking with the guy that engineered it, and he was like, "This is like the best." Like he explaining it, he's super excited about it, and I kind of followed his excitement. And he's like, "You want to try it?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I want to try it because I really think that the excitement that he showed and his proudness about his product, I'm like, yeah, like I would like to try it as well and just see how it works."
Nice. Nice. So, first of all, I appreciate you spending some time with me today, Mike. And so I want you to send a message to, because obviously, Bo Junkie has a lot of listeners and followers in the Netherlands. And so whether she ever sees this podcast in the future, many, many years in the future, but this is something that I started doing with friends from other countries. So I want you to send a message right now to your fans back home in the Netherlands and to your daughter in the future for her to hear it in your native language.
Oh, ja, ik wil iedereen bedanken die mij volgt en support. En ik wil ook graag natuurlijk Luna bedanken voor een makkelijke baby te zijn op dit moment. En hopelijk dat ze daar ook straks passie krijgt voor de handbal
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate your
Thank
time,
you.
buddy. We wish you the best of luck at the World Cup this week. Let everybody know where they can keep up with 2026 Vegas champion Mike Schloesser on the World Wide Webs.
People can follow me on Instagram. I'm a bit more active at the moment, just sharing some of the stories and what I'm doing. World Archery, of course, that org. You can follow some of the events that I go to. NFA, of course, as well. Unfortunately, I won't be in Reading this year because it overlaps with Shanghai. And but I'll be around, that's for sure.
There you go. All right, everybody. That's Mike Schloesser right there. Look, I am very, very impressed with how this young man has not only conducted himself in his career, but the father, the husband, all that stuff. I mean, being a great archer is one thing, but this dude is genuine in his love and his emotion when it comes to being a father and a husband, and that is truly what a legacy is all about. And so he will be on the Mount Rushmore of archers, there's no doubt, but seeing how he cares for his wife and daughter is something that transcends the sport. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch it, of course, but I did actually uh, while Mikey was shooting off in Vegas, I actually got a chance to chat with Gabby. uh, Luna didn't have a lot to say, of course. I think she was a little
No.
shy of the microphone, uh, but I had a great conversation real quick with Gabby while Mike was shooting. So certainly appreciate that. She's a very nice young lady as well. Look, this is what the sport's about. The fact that Mike and
Mhm.
Gabby are actually traveling with Luna and including her in this lifestyle, I think, is very, very important. You know, it's going to motivate Mike to shoot at these events, and for all of his competitors, I, I don't. It's probably not good for you. A motivated Mike that wants to win for his daughter and his wife is that's going to be an irresistible force right there. So that's going to be it for the podcast, everybody. We appreciate you. For those of you listening to this today, I am doing a podcast tomorrow with Chloe Nelson, the young lady that won the young adult class against the boys in Vegas this year.
Mhm.
So that's going to be very exciting. Mind you, she shot 120 X's in Louisville, or not Louisville. Jeez Louise. She shot 120 X's in Memphis this year at NFA International, so she can throw down. But that's going to be it for the podcast, everybody. Whatever you're doing out there, if you're driving somewhere, whatever you're doing, please be safe. You guys know the deal. We want to hear from you, not about you. And as always, love, peace, and chicken grease.